Batman's moniker of refusing to kill is one of the most intriguing aspects of his character, and it is actively stressed in many different variations of the character. Except for Lego Batman, he really does not care. Given any opportunity, Lego Batman will absolutely destroy every single henchman he comes across by shattering them into multiple pieces. This time, however, I will take extra precautions to make sure Lego Batman's sociopathic tendencies are halted. This is the Lego Batman Pacifist Run. In order to make this run even more interesting, I'll be adding another part of Lego Batman's character. Batman usually doesn't die and come back 2 seconds later every time he is shot. So I'll take extra precautions to make sure Batman doesn't die at all during this run. Every time I die as Batman or Robin during a run, I'll restart from the beginning of the level. So with all of the rules out of the way, we will begin on one of the most iconic LEGO levels of all time, You Can Bank on Batman. You Can Bank on Batman shows us how quickly groups of enemies can pile onto each other, making doing the puzzles without at least dying once actively impossible. However, if we cannot murder people directly, we can at least be an accomplice to murder. By grabbing an enemy then switching to either Batman or Robin, we can let our CPU friend deal the killing blow instead of us. However, this strategy will not help with enemies that lie outside of our grab range because batarangs are obviously not allowed. After receiving the detonation suit, we can destroy the trucks blocking our way. However, make sure you lead the goons and henchmen away from the explosions so you don't get charged with terrorism. Because of the small breaks between the groups of Riddler goons, you'll have lots of time to grind for hearts. Even though there are a lot of enemies, there are barely any puzzles, so you can just focus on the enemies. After hacking a panel with Robin and pressing 3 switches, we are introduced to our first boss, Clayface. The boss fights are one of the hardest parts of this challenge. The bosses constantly harass you while spawning near infinite waves of enemies. After punching Clayface twice, you will retreat behind 3 Riddler henchmen enemies, which of course cannot be killed. You can gas Clayface into a prison cell, which makes no sense because Clayface could just slip through the bars, but I digress. After arresting Clayface, we have completed You Can Bank on Batman with no blood on Batman's hand. Except for Robin, his green gloves have definitely turned red. Our next level is an Icy Reception, which starts out with Robin showing his cannibalistic tendencies by wanting to eat the cops frozen in ice. The first half of an Icy Reception was actually much easier than You Can Bank on Batman, since there are many more platforming-based puzzles rather than enemies. However, one of the main problems with the platforming in LEGO Batman is there are multiple bottomless pits. So if you fail one of these jumps once, you instantly have to restart the level. The boss fight is so much harder than the rest of the level, and You Can Bank on Batman combined. Mr. Freeze has an instant kill attack with his Freeze Ray. Once you get hit with it, you have mere seconds in which you need to switch to your CPU partner before you have to restart the level. The waves of Freeze goons along with Freeze himself make this boss fight the first major roadblock in the game, but after going through 3 phases of the boss fight, we can advance to our first vehicle level. Two-Face Chase is our first vehicle mission, and while vehicle missions are heavily agreed on to be some of the worst levels in any LEGO game, this one is actually really easy considering the challenge at hand. First off, it is imperative that you play as Robin on the Batcycle, as not only is your hitbox way smaller, but it also seems that none of the enemies take the time of day to target you. But make sure when you are fighting the Riddler bands to not have any of your bullets stray and hit the other vehicles. The problem with this, however, is Robin takes an insane amount of time to drag the Riddler bands. So while playing as Robin is ideal, it is super annoying and slow. The boss fight against Two-Face's truck isn't even that hard either, as miniature truck bombs that come out of Two-Face's truck will kill the Riddler henchman vehicles for you. Just be sure you don't get hit by any of these explosions yourself. Our next level is a Poisonous Appointment, which has the advancement of plants with guns. The first 2 rooms do not have much to mention because there are not too many enemies and all you do is break glass and janitorial work. The third room is platforming challenges, which as I said before are super easy, but are very tense due to the punishment of instant death. The fourth room is absolutely terrible, however. There are waves upon waves upon waves of Riddler henchmen. We'll need to suck up multiple multicolored bricks, which is probably one of the worst player mechanics in this game. After another tense platforming section, you reach the next boss, Poison Ivy, who is almost just as bad as Mr. Freeze. Each of Ivy's 3 Venus flytraps almost instantly kill the player if they try to approach them, and the only way to kill these flytraps is through building a bomb that causes an explosion that also instantly kills you. And killing plants is completely fine because both Batman and Robin are vegan. After you kill the second plant, Poison Ivy will jump down and start hitting you while you're trying to blow up the third one. But after you destroy all the plants, you can actively hurt Ivy herself. After spamming the attack button for 10 seconds, this troublesome level is finally done, and we can approach the final level of Episode 1, Riddler's Revenge. The face-off is just like an Icy Reception, where it starts off really easy to not shatter everyone you see into a million pieces, but by the end, even peace-loving Batman here probably wanted to snap off Lego Riddler's arm because Lego arms are really hard to put back on the minifigures. By utilizing the bank's terrible security system, we can ride a commandeered bank van all the way to the bank itself while dodging all the bullets. After breaking into the bank via high-up grate, the level's difficulty goes from a 3 out of 10 to a 7. Two-Face instantly sees our weakness to instant-kill obstacles and shoots the toxic sludge tank, which is standard issue for every bank in America. Two-Face is no match for our attack button spam, and he runs to the other side of the toxic spill lake. After somehow building a brown boat with only red, yellow, and green bricks, we reach Two-Face again. Make sure you have the high ground on Two-Face, or he might punch you into the toxic goop. After breaking into the vault, you have a small game of dodging a few laser squares sliding across the floor, and we finally reach Riddler. This fight, like the others, has multiple waves of goons that we need to assist in the breaking of. Riddler then tries to use his laser gun to shoot Batman and Robin, however his aim is absolute piss. With no more goons that we cannot murder, he results to mind-controlling Two-Face. However, this doesn't stop us from punching Lego Riddler's plastic Danish face and ending the first episode. Riddler's Revenge had relatively easy main levels with bosses that ramp up the difficulty considerably. Let's hope the villains in episode 2 and 3 don't try to exploit Batman's pacifist nature. The first level in Power Craze Penguin is There She Goes Again, the obligatory Batman rooftop level. This is one of the few levels in the game that I feel like I have nothing to talk about. Every level in this episode, except for one exception, I wish I was playing the villain mission versions. After a few rooftops and some off-screen deaths, we reach Catwoman. The Catwoman fight has one of the funniest facts in the game and how you can just push her off the building and it will end the fight, but we can't even do that here because we're forced to not murder anyone. After a few repeatable Catwoman jumps and even more Penguin henchmen, we are greeted with a Robin tongue jump scare and the next obligatory vehicle mission. I will never forgive Batboat Battle for taking away the Lego Batman Bane level from us and giving us this generic vehicle mission. Unlike the previous mission, we are forced to play as Batman's clunky Batboat in order to tow bombs, everyone's favorite mechanic from LEGO Star Wars, the complete saga. So it is super easy for all of the henchmen to pummel bullets into your face. And, unlike the non-vehicle mission levels, you can't use the tag team strategy to get rid of enemies, so they just pile up into a swarming mass. So what's the best strategy to get through the entire level? Luck. After some super ungodly strong luck, we made it through the first room. The next big section is where you need to hit 4 different switches in order to open the boss gate. This section also features the only Robin use in the level, so you know, that was easy. The Penguin sub-boss fight was honestly not as hard as I thought it would be, an actual rest from the insanity of the rest of the level. There are basically none of those henchman boats that we have seen earlier in the level, only stationary mines that you can avoid with enough patience, and there is only one Penguin mine that moves. Of course, the mine towing mechanic is still making sure that I have no dopamine during this entire vehicle mission, but at least we get to behead Robin. Under the City is the second best sewer level in the game, if that's saying anything. The first main room shoves some annoying, unhittable Penguin henchmen in Batman's face, constantly interrupting us when we try to advance the level. We also see an assault in progress, which we cannot interact with because we need to kill the goon, and Batman doesn't kill. We are also completely free to kill the alligators because, like plants, they're green, and that's a good enough reason to break our rule. There are some swimming puzzles in this level, I guess, which use the super underused Robin diving suit. This playthrough mostly made me realize that all of the levels in episode 2 kind of suck. The most I could say about this level is that it is one of the few levels I beat on my first try, which I'm really glad of the fact because I never had to play this level more than I needed to. Killer Croc is one of the easiest bosses in the game, not in terms of difficulty, but in the fact that he summons no goons and he has no instant kill attack. All we have to do is wait for Croc to throw about 15 hospital stretchers and we can finally get to the one good level of episode 2. Zoo's Company, heck yes, finally something to do. Well, Zoo's Company is one of the best levels in the game in my opinion. It wasn't that hard, easier than You Can Bank on Batman even. There are a few groups of enemies, but not so many that is super memorable for that reason. No instant kill obstacles, which means we can never die to our own stupidity. I mean, you get the detonation suit, but you only blow up with like one thing, so the chance that you will is so low that if you mess this one detonation up, just don't. The boss fight against Man-Bat does feature some bombs, however, but they all drop in the same exact places, so the chance that they will hit you is super low. You only need to build this phonograph thing twice and then the level is already over. After bullying Man-Bat for his tinnitus, we can finally get to the final level of Power Crazed Penguin. Penguin's lair has a super short approach section that leads to the boss fight itself, in which we see these robotic penguins, and I don't know about you, but I have no qualms about killing these fake penguins. The henchmen, however, yeah, we still need to use our same strategy on these guys. The penguin boss fight is made so much harder than it needs to be because it is just so long, and when you need to not die throughout the entire level, along with not dealing the killing blows to enemies, yeah, it is annoying. The boss fight involves you fighting Catwoman, blowing up a treadmill, hitting a power generator thingy with a batarang, then doing that whole process like 3 more times. Then you need to constantly throw your batarangs at the penguin to knock him out of the air. And at this point, you just want to be done with this episode. Episode 2 was definitely easier, but almost a bit too easy to where it wasn't even stimulating. Let's hope episode 3 will be a bit more interesting. Return of the Joker starts up with the Joker's home turf, which, considering this is the Mad Hatter's level, it would have been cooler if this was some Alice in Wonderland type level, but this level provides us with not 1, but 2 funny forklifts. As the level starts, you have some annoying, unkillable Joker henchmen that are constantly shooting at you, while you need to do even more janitorial duty by not only cleaning up red, yellow, and green bricks, but also even more toxic goo. Other than Robin's janitorial duty, this level features not much of note in terms of challenge in the funny forklift room. Just don't miss any jumps. The Mad Hatter fight was also faster than I remembered, even though he did try and hypnotize us to break our non-killing rule. After surviving being dropped into toxic goo twice, we somehow stop him by just pulling his hat over his head and awkwardly pushing him out the door. Also, before I get on to the next level, I just want to mention that Robin was fully intending to utilize an atomic bomb on Joker's crew, so, you know. If you ever have any holdups on the state of Robin's mental health, there you go. Little Fun at the Big Top is one of the best first halves in almost all of the levels in this challenge. Usually when it features enemies, there are only about 4 at a time, so doing the grab, tag, throw strategy is quite effective. However, there are some minimum wage Robin vacuum cleanups, but that doesn't really matter when the rest of the level is so solid. Also, I don't know why, but it feels like you swap suits constantly in this level, so this level is always fresh. I know this video is about a run where I cannot kill and I cannot die, but it's super easy to appreciate the crummy circus aesthetic of this level. The boss fight against Harley Quinn blows hard. I don't even really like this battle normally, but in this challenge, it broke into my house and stole my milk. You wait forever for Quinn to stop in order to actually hit her, and it's just tedious running around waiting for her to stop. But that is not what makes this boss fight so bad. It is when she starts to spawn Joker henchmen after hitting her 4 times that makes me hit my head on the table. For some unknown reason, I cannot get the CPU to throw any of the Joker henchmen, and you need to break all of them to advance the boss fight. So, how do we beat Quinn here? Well, we have to change what counts as a kill. When you grab an enemy, the other enemies around you will not seem to know how to hit you. So what you need to do is carry them across the battle arena to the puddle of toxic goo near the bottom right corner of the room. You hold them over the goo and wait until they break out of their grasp. I just hold them over the goo. It was their decision to break from my grasp. Now that I think about this, this is kind of like Jigsaw's mentality. I didn't kill anyone, I just put them in a situation where they could kill themselves. After saving Commissioner Gordon, we can advance to our final vehicle mission. Flight of the Bat is a level that I played. It is kind of funny how you can herd around the Joker copters like sheep. The Scarecrow boss fight also has no goons, so there's nothing I can talk about there either. But Lego Scarecrow does have the best Scarecrow design. I would get into a street fight over that. In the Dark Knight, it's just a fun level regardless of the nature of this challenge. Enemies are constantly trying to interrupt you at every turn like in other levels. This level also does the Streets of Gotham theme so much better than you can bank on Batman. After dodging even more randomly placed toxic goo, we can get into the nightclub itself, which threatens to make us clean up more bricks, but thankfully we don't have to do that anymore for the rest of the game. There's also a little epic dancing robot section along with a little fire section. This level isn't even hard in terms of the challenge at hand, it's just fun. The Killer Moth boss fight also does a really fun job at making the fight the perfect amount of stimulating between Killer Croc and Harley Quinn. It is a very nice middle ground. There are some classic LEGO puzzles and some enemies that we had absolutely no hand in the murder of. Also, who gave this man a gun? LEGO Killer Moth should never be given a firearm in any circumstance. But after threatening to gas him, we make it to the final level of this challenge. To the top of the tower features a little section where we're just outside of the tower getting shot at by annoying Joker henchmen. There also is another pointless battle with Harley Quinn where you need to shoot at her with water guns, and honestly, it is just annoying. Just make sure to jump out of the water gun seat before it gets bombed. After that annoying section, we finally get to the tower itself, which has no henchmen or goons at all. Honestly, I thought the final level would have some big send-off where 112 henchmen pile into the room and Two-Face shoots a convenient toxic waste container on the other side of the room, but no. You just solve a few quick levels and make it to the final fight. Before we can fight the Joker, we have to fight his helicopter, which I think is a much better water gun boss fight than Quinn's. You just need to make sure you aren't out in the open when you aren't in the water gun cockpit, or else you get pummeled by a lot of blaster shots. The Joker fight itself doesn't even feature that much crap, but he does do the Joy Buzzer trap, which forces you to switch to the other character to hit him, which proves Joker is just as strong as Palpatine. After beating him, we can say that we have beaten LEGO Batman with a perfectly clean conscience, even though we are standing on the mountain of the LEGO corpses that our CPU friend made. But you know, if Robin turns out to be an unredeemable sociopath, Batman could just get a new one.